She walked into the
fleet is
briefing
ready
room
for deployment
like
as
she'd done
ordered.
1,000 times
Commander.
before.
Let's review the
Quiet,
current positions on the
composed,
map.
and seemingly ordinary. At least, that's what they all thought. Just another fresh face, maybe a new recruit assigned for logistics support, or an aide to run errands. No one paid attention to her posture, the way her eyes scanned the room, or how her boots had the wear of someone who walked miles in silence, not scratching dirt in training fields, but stepping through foreign sand under enemy fire. Asterisk. What city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about extraordinary people. He didn't notice any of that. He was too busy leaning back with his boots propped up, tossing a pen in the air, wearing a smirk that reached from cheek to cheek. Major Douglas Lehman was SOCOM through and through, sharp, accomplished, decorated, and cocky-witted. He didn't just lead operations. He bathed in the glory of them. He was the kind of leader who gave orders loud enough for the sound to become applause in his own mind. And when she stepped inside the room, folders in hand, without speaking a word, the room's atmosphere changed, though no one could yet understand why. Her name was Rachel Quinn. At least that's what the patch said. She didn't offer salutations or seek permission. She moved to a seat near the back, silently observing. The others were finishing up their coffee, small talk, and chatter. Most eyes glazed over her presence, except for those who assessed every newcomer like a target to fire on. New blood? Someone whispered. No idea. Must be logistics. Look, she's carrying folders. Lemon watched her just long enough to decide she was unimportant. Probably HQ sent her over to check attendance or distribute mission details. He'd seen 100 like her, women who didn't belong here but kept showing up. Just before the start of the briefing, he got up, walked over, and stood towering above her. So what will it be for you? Coffee duty? Printing maps? Or typing up after-action reports? Rachel didn't answer. You got a rank, soldier, he continued, amused at her silence. Or are you just here to warm that chair? A few nearby soldiers chuckled quietly. She looked up then, and when she spoke, her voice was calm, deliberate, and startling in its authority. Maybe wait until the briefing starts, Major. He raised an eyebrow at her, filed it mentally. She had attitude, confident, maybe too confident for a logistics officer. Still not enough to earn his respect. The room dimmed as the large tactical screen flickered to life. The commanding officer, Colonel Mason, was running late. Normally, Lehman would fill that time by commanding the room's attention. Today, though, someone else did. Rachel stood up and walked to the front table. She placed the folders down, and for the first time, the room took notice. Her hand landed on the table not with a slap, not with force, but with precision, like she'd just unloaded a rifle. Let's begin, she said. Everyone turned. Lemon narrowed his eyes. A few soldiers shifted in their seats. She clicked to the first slide. On screen came images from encrypted satellite footage, high-value targets. A folder marked Valhalla Directive. Most of those in the room had never even heard of it. A few whispered, "That's restricted," someone said. "And your clearance?" Lemon's voice cut across the room. Rachel looked straight at him. No flinch, no hesitation. "Higher than yours." Laughter bubbled around the room. Lehman snorted. "Higher than mine? That's cute." She didn't bother replying. Instead, she continued briefing a covert mission in an undisclosed region, infiltration and extraction. She spoke with clarity, precision, command. Finally, she paused to allow the room to process the gravity of what they heard. "What's your rank anyway?" Lemon asked, louder now, cockier than ever. "You're not MCOS, not SOCOM staff, and surely not frontline. Logistics, maybe." It was a joke. Everyone knew it. But something about his smirk made the laughter stall before it fully formed. She stepped away from the screen. "You want my rank?" A silence fell. She reached into her pocket and placed something on the table, a small metal dongle. Those who recognized it instantly froze. It was a Theta-level identification key, Only Special Operations Commanders carried one. That's when Colonel Mason walked in, breathless, rushed, and apologetic. Sorry for the delay. Commander Quinn, please, continue. Everyone here is under your command today. The room fell into dead silence. Commander, Operations Commander. Not Major, not Colonel, and certainly not Logistics. Rachel Quinn was the highest-ranking officer in the room, one of the few women ever appointed as Special Operations Commander, overseeing missions even generals couldn't get clearance to read about. Lemon's smirk evaporated. But this was not the first time someone doubted her. Long before she stood in this heavily guarded room filled with war-seasoned soldiers, Rachel had trained in silence. She had crossed deserts on foot, infiltrated enemy bunkers, and brought home entire teams, often without firing a shot. She believed in strategy, precision, efficiency. She spoke only when necessary. The fewer words, the greater the weight. When she was first recruited, they'd said, "She can't lead. She's too small, too quiet." So she let her actions speak. In the field, she led men twice her size across hostile terrain. In simulations, she outsmarted veteran commanders with plans that seemed invisible until they were complete. When a certain overseas base was surrounded by insurgents, she coordinated an extraction that saved 78 lives using nothing more than a map, intuition, and a 14-minute window of silence from an enemy radar unit. Lehman knew none of this. None of them did. Because she didn't need stories told about her. She just did the work. And yet, every room she entered was the same. Men who underestimated her. Leaders who questioned her authority. Commanders who didn't understand strategy until she explained it to them. Her rise had been lonely, quiet, and earned. That's why she didn't react when Lehman mocked. She'd heard 1,000 jokes like his, but every time she responded the same way. Through action, the room settled after the reveal. Lehman stood back, stunned and embarrassed. Rachel continued the briefing, laying down tactical sequences, squad roles, extraction windows, air support timings. Her voice was steady. Every word was precise. She outlined the operation's stakes, the exit strategies, the fail-safes. Every soldier in the room leaned forward, listening. The same soldiers who barely noticed her when she walked in now saw her differently. This wasn't a logistics assistant. This wasn't a junior officer hungry to prove herself. This was the commander who operated with silence that thundered louder than any voice. After the briefing was done and the room emptied to align gear and review roles, Lehman lingered. She packed her folders into a small, worn-out satchel and walked toward the exit. At the doorway, she paused, turned slightly. "You had something to say, Major." Lehman swallowed. "I underestimated you." She nodded once. "It happens." Then she left. The mission was executed 72 hours later. With precision, no casualties, no trace, complete deniability. Lehman was part of it. And for the first time in his decade-long career, he followed orders without question. Because every time he had a doubt, he remembered that quiet face sitting in the back of the room. The woman who said nothing and still held every life in her hands. Months later, he saw her again. Different briefing room. Different operation. He was ready this time. When she walked in, he stood up out of respect. "Commander," he said. She nodded. Now she was the one who smirked. "Just barely." "Major," she replied. This time, it wasn't mockery. It was acknowledgement. And when she passed, he fell in step behind her. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to serve under her command. He had learned the most valuable lesson a soldier could learn. Never judge rank by silence. Never mistake calm for weakness. And never mock a woman in uniform. You might just be standing in the presence of someone who outranks everyone in the room. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.